Welcome to Informed Tourist AI, your travel buddy who tells it like it is, whether you like it or not. You want the real deal on travel, the dirt under the fingernails of those Instagram-perfect cities? You're in the right place. You clicked the video because you're wondering, which European cities are tourist traps, and which ones hide serious problems behind the pretty postcards? Listen, everyone wants to eat their weight in pasta and pretend they're in a Fellini film. But what about the stuff travel brochures don't tell you? Well, buckle in because we're taking you on a brutally honest journey through the cities people regret visiting. And we're not just talking about bad Wi-Fi, we're talking homelessness, disappointment, and seriously awkward moments. Stick around till the end for a tip that'll save your next European vacation and your wallet. Trust me, it's worth it. Milan. You picture Prada, high fashion, the kind of effortless cool that makes you feel like a slob in a $500 t-shirt. And sure, the Duomo is a goddamn masterpiece. It'll knock your socks off, no question. But spend more than a day, maybe two in Milan, and you start to notice something. Something's missing. It's like that perfectly plated dish. You know, the one with the microgreens and the foam that costs more than your rent. Looks great in pictures, but you take a bite and nothing. No soul. No grit. Just a whole lot of style over substance. See, Milan's got this sleek, modern exterior. All glass and steel and people who look like they haven't eaten a carb since the invention of skinny jeans. But scratch beneath the surface and you find a city that can feel sterile, cold. One traveler I talked to, he said he spent a week in Milan and regretted 5 days of it. 5 days. That's like ordering a 7-course meal and realizing after the second course that you'd rather be home eating a grilled cheese. Look, I'm not saying Milan's all bad. If you're into high-end shopping and want to feel poor and unfashionable, by all means, fill your boots. But for my money, give me a city with a little more heart, a little more grime. You know, the kind of place where you can get a decent meal for under 20 euros and not feel like you need to make a reservation a month in advance. Ah, Venice, the floating city, a place so romantic, so magical, so goddamn crowded you can barely move. Listen, I get it. Venice is stunning. Those canals, those bridges, the way the light hits the water. It's enough to make you want to propose to the nearest gondolier. But here's the thing about Venice. It's a victim of its own beauty. Over-tourism has turned this once thriving city into a kind of open-air museum, where the exhibits are overpriced souvenirs and the tourists are the main attraction. You want to take a gondola ride? Be prepared to shell out 100 euros for the privilege of being serenaded by a guy who probably hates his job as much as you hate your commute. Feeling peckish? Hope you like overpriced pizza and lukewarm spritz because that's what's on the menu at every tourist trap in town. And don't even get me started on the crowds. Forget about strolling hand in hand through charming alleyways. You'll be lucky to make it through St. Mark's Square without getting elbowed in the ribs or trampled by a tour group from Ohio. The worst part? The locals are leaving. They're getting priced out by Airbnb and overrun by tourists who treat their city like a theme park. It's enough to make you want to weep into your overpriced Bellini. So, should you go to Venice? If you must. But do yourself a favor and go in the off-season. Like November. When it's cold and rainy and the only people around are pigeons and the ghosts of Venetians past, you might actually get to see the pavement. Barcelona, eh? Land of Gaudi, tapas, and enough nightlife to kill a lesser city. It's the kind of place that seduces you with its energy, its beauty, its promise of endless good times. And for a while, you're hooked. You're wandering down Las Ramblas, marveling at the Sagrada Familia, stuffing your face with patatas bravas and thinking, this is it, I've found my happy place. But then, the charm starts to wear off. You realize that those street vendors hawking selfie sticks and knockoff jerseys are relentless. You can't walk down the street without being offered a special deal on weed or hash. And those tapas? Delicious, sure. But after the 5th night in a row, you start craving something, anything, that isn't served in a clay dish. And then there are the pickpockets. They're everywhere, these nimble-fingered fiends, just waiting for you to let your guard down for a second so they can relieve you of your wallet, your phone, your passport, your firstborn child. You start to feel like you're in a real-life game of Pac-Man, only instead of ghosts chasing you, it's petty thieves and they're after your valuables. Look, Barcelona is a beautiful city. The architecture is stunning, the food is amazing, in moderation, and the nightlife is legendary. But it's also crowded, chaotic, and full of tourists who are easy targets for scammers and thieves. You want to enjoy Barcelona? Leave your naivete at home, keep your wits about you, and for God's sake, learn how to say no, gracias, in at least 3 languages. Chapter 4, Paris, City of Love and Homelessness. Paris, the city of lights, the city of love, the city of 3,600 homeless people living on the streets? Yeah, nobody puts that on a postcard. We all have this romanticized image of Paris, right? We picture ourselves strolling along the Seine, baguette in hand, falling in love with a handsome stranger over a café au lait. And sure, those things exist, but so does another side of Paris, a side that's often ignored, glossed over, swept under the rug like a baguette crumb in a fancy bakery. Walk down almost any street in Paris and you'll see them. People huddled beneath blankets, begging for change, sleeping in doorways. Families crammed into tents, their belongings piled around them like a makeshift fortress against the indifference of the city. It's a stark contrast to the glittering Eiffel Tower, the designer boutiques, the Michelin-starred restaurants. I remember walking along the Seine one evening, the sky a bruised purple, the air thick with the scent of rain and roasted chestnuts. I was feeling that Parisian magic, the kind that makes you want to buy a beret and start smoking Gauloise. And then I saw them. A row of tents pitched beneath a bridge, illuminated by the harsh glare of a street lamp. Families were inside, children were playing, a dog barked. It was a scene of such ordinary desperation, such stark humanity that it shattered the illusion. It's easy to get caught up in the romance of Paris, to lose yourself in the beauty and the history, but it's important to remember that behind the postcard-perfect facades, real people are struggling. Real lives are being lived, and sometimes those lives are messy and painful and heartbreakingly unfair. Chapter 5, Dublin, a crisis hiding in plain sight. Dublin, the land of Guinness, good cheer, and a staggering homelessness crisis? Yep, you heard that right. While tourists flock to Temple Bar, downing pints and singing along to trad music just outside the twinkling fairy lights and the smell of spilled beer, another Dublin exists. A Dublin where over 13,000 people are without a home. Think about that number for a second. 13,000 in a city of less than 1.5 million. That's almost 1% of the entire population. And it's not just numbers on a page, folks. These are real people, families, children, veterans caught in a system that's failing them. You see it everywhere in Dublin if you know where to look. The tents pitched in parks and under bridges. The people huddled in doorways, clutching sleeping bags against the damp Irish air. The lines outside soup kitchens, stretching down the block. It's a heartbreaking reality that casts a shadow over this otherwise vibrant city. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't visit Dublin. It's a city with a rich history, a vibrant culture, and some of the friendliest people you'll ever meet. But I'm saying open your eyes, look beyond the tourist traps, the pubs, the leprechaun hats. See the city for what it is, flaws and all. Chapter 6. Brighton, where the party never ends, for some. Brighton. The quirky cousin of the British seaside, a place where you can get a tattoo, ride a roller coaster, and eat fish and chips on the pier, all in the same afternoon. It's a city that embraces its eccentricities, its alternative spirit, its anything-goes attitude. But even in a place as open-minded as Brighton, some realities are hard to ignore. See, Brighton has a secret, a dark undercurrent beneath its colorful facade, a homelessness rate that's the third highest in England. 1 in 78 people in this seaside city are without a home. Let that sink in for a moment. 1 in 78. That means, statistically speaking, if you're in a crowded pub on a Saturday night sipping a pint and listening to live music, someone in that very room is likely homeless. They might be the bartender serving you, the musician on stage, the person laughing next to you. It's a sobering thought, isn't it? Now, I'm not trying to rain on your parade. Brighton is a fantastic city full of life, energy, and a certain anarchic charm, but it's also a city grappling with a serious issue, an issue that's often hidden in plain sight. Chapter 7. Berlin, edgy vibe, edgy reality. Berlin, the city of techno music, street art, and a history so complex it could make your head spin. It's a city that wears its scars proudly, a city that's constantly evolving, reinventing itself. But beneath the edgy cool, the underground clubs and the hipster cafes, another Berlin exists. A Berlin where over 50,000 people are experiencing homelessness. 50,000. That's more than the entire population of some European cities. It's a stark reminder that even in a city as progressive and prosperous as Berlin, some are being left behind. Walk through the trendy neighborhoods of Kreuzberg or Friedrichshain and you'll see them. People sleeping rough, begging for change, their lives reduced to a few meager possessions piled on a piece of cardboard. It's a side of Berlin that tourists often don't see or choose not to see. It's easier to focus on the city's vibrant nightlife, its thriving art scene, its cheap and cheerful currywurst. But ignoring the problem doesn't make it go away. Look, I'm not saying you shouldn't visit Berlin. It's a fascinating city, full of history, culture, and a certain raw energy that's hard to find elsewhere. But I'm saying be aware, be mindful. Don't let the city's cool facade blind you to the realities of those living on its margins. Outro: the real cost of travel. Look, I'm not trying to bum you out. Travel is amazing. It's eye-opening, it's life-changing, it's the best education you can get. But it's also important to remember that travel is more than just ticking off landmarks and snapping selfies. It's about connecting with a place, understanding its complexities, its contradictions. It's about seeing the whole picture, even the parts that make us uncomfortable. So next time you book a flight, ask yourself, am I chasing a fantasy? Or am I ready for the real thing? Am I willing to see beyond the tourist traps and the Instagram filters, to acknowledge the realities of the places I visit? Because the truth is, the best travel experiences, the ones that stay with you long after you've unpacked your bags, are often the ones that challenge us, that make us think, that open our eyes to the world in all its messy, complicated glory. And hey, have you ever visited a city that totally let you down, or one that surprised the heck out of you? Drop it in the comments. Let's swap horror stories. Also, what topic do you want us to explore next? Creepiest hotels? Worst airports? Dark tourism spots no one talks about? Thanks for watching. Informed Tourist AI, please hit the like button and subscribe. It's free and supports the channel. Now enjoy these next videos, because your next travel story starts right here.